Okay, now let's start the conversation with consultants. Episode 69. The only thing standing between you and your belief that is actually possible. It's a beautiful quote by Joel Brown. So, with this, could, could I like to bring our talk show name Conversation with Consultants with episode 69 of our guest talk series. Good evening, everyone. I am Rima Kumari, HR Associate and ECR Coordinator of SKNG.
And I am Aditi Pandita, Research Associate of SKANG, and we both are your hosts for today's talk show. Before we begin our talk show, let me briefly introduce SK Associates and Group. We are an ISO certified management consulting firm registered under the MSMED Act 2006 with the Government of India. Our mission is to provide consulting services to student entrepreneurs globally, covering areas such as compliance, operations, marketing, research and development, human capital, strategy, and operations. Our passion lies in helping these budding entrepreneurs bring their dreams to life and contribute to global economic growth.
Entrepreneurship is a catalyst for change and innovation. It's a powerful force that can reshape industries, transform lives, and make the world a better place. We are committed to supporting student entrepreneurs on their journey, equipping them with the tools, knowledge, network they need to succeed.
Now, before we begin our show, let's take a moment to appreciate our guest for today. It gives us immense pleasure to welcome Mr. Atul, Consulting General Counsel and Independent Director of Ap2 Legal Consulting, to this special event. We are truly honored by your presence, sir, and it's a thrilling moment to share this momentous occasion with you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm really happy to have a nice evening discussion with Rima and Aditi, both of you. So thank you very much for SK Associate this opportunity, and definitely this is a wonderful initiative to help all the new entrepreneurs or maybe those who are in there where they can get the experiences on hand and they can increase their reach as well as the practices.
Well, sir, let's start this interview with our first question for you then. So, considering the volatility of markets, what strategies do you use to identify market gaps in a rapidly changing business environment?
So, actually, there is one saying by one great businessman that when there is a volatility, we have to first secure what is not going to change. Okay, and what is not going to change easily in case of the legal and compliance is the regulations. Yes, the regulations are coming up, but they are taking not at the speed of artificial intelligence. So in volatility, first secure what you have and be compliant with that, and then work on the changing environment. Now in volatility, which is very important to scan the environment which is going on around you, and also to check what can impact in a short term as well as long term. Now, when we talk about the changes, we have to also ensure that changes are not temporary and changes are permanent before we act on it. For example, as we know that now we are facing the US tax issue, and you will find that sometimes it is 100%, sometimes it is 50%. It's a short term, I will teach a short term issue where we have to concentrate on the long term issues. That's how we have to continuously scan the environment. We have to also look at the industry, not only the same industry, but also what other industries are doing. So one of the most important industry which has become and which is impacting all the functions, it is not only the legal and compliance, which is the IT industry. Earlier it was a separate industry, but now it is getting into all the domains because of artificial intelligence. So we have to be alert, we have to concentrate. And I think we are doing well because of the pandemic learning. Because those who survived in pandemic, they know how to work on the short-term and long-term objectives.
It sounds good, sir. Moving ahead, your next question is, how do you stay updated on industry trends and market developments?
So I believe in continuous learning. So normally my learning plan is always fixed in 1 year in advance, where I put 2 or 3 targets of learning, and then meeting the people, meeting the industry forums. So I attend industry seminars, conversations, meetings, conclaves. So I ensure that at least I attend once in a quarter, and preferably I prefer that different regions. So I don't get into only that I'm staying in Mumbai, so I will only attend in Mumbai. No, I'm traveling to Delhi, I'm traveling to Bangalore, and sometimes Hyderabad also. The reason is that we get to know what their industries are doing. When there is a industry seminars, what most important is that what other industries are doing and what is happening in that region. So that helps me to keep continuous up to the mark. And then last but not least, now we are also concerned with the overseas politics, overseas regionalism, where we have to be conscious what is happening in overseas. Because sometimes, though I mentioned that it's a short-term impact of the taxes, but it was heavy. It was not marginal impact. For example, 10% or 5% tax change is acceptable, which is as a market change. But if the tax is 100%, then the product can stop actually. So I will suggest 3 steps to remain. Means what I follow is that continuous learning, where I attend actual learnings at this age also to get updated with the changes. Second is the meeting industry peers, and third one is we should not forget what geopolitics is impacting our business as well as legal and compliance.
So talking more on market gaps, can you give an example of a market gap that you've identified in the past and maybe expand a bit on how you capitalized on it?
Yeah, certainly. I can give maybe 2 examples actually. Okay. One example I will tell you, if you observe the survey reports of prominent organizations, I will say Global 4 Chartered Accountants, or even at the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, which publishes a report in January on the governance as well as fraud happening all across the world. And you will find that they all have confirmed one fact. Okay, the survey reports are showing the different results, but one gap they are showing is that the independent and open whistleblowing practices, speak up culture. Okay, so after statutory audit and after internal audit, in last 6 years, I will say 6 to 7 years, I will say, you will find that most important is coming up as a whistleblowing. And there is a gap because there are 2 issues. One is the confidentiality of the whistleblower. So that is one issue which you have to handle, because whistleblowers are afraid to speak up. And second is, of course, retaliation. So retaliation, there are enough laws on the retaliation. But most important aspect of the whistleblowing, to make whistleblowing robust, is the confidentiality of the whistleblowing system. And I found that when I was working with the multinational company in 2023, we have started with the system-based whistleblowing, and which we also tried to introduce in India. And I'm happy that that gap is now closing up. What is meant by whistleblowing? For example, people forget about top 2,000 companies, but majority companies give the email ID. And in email ID, if somebody blows a whistle, his or her identity is visible. So we have introduced the system-based whistleblowing mechanism where you can blow a whistle, but your identity will remain confidential. And it will not be known to even us, and it will not be known to the company who is using. So that is one of the market gap I feel, and still there is a gap because people are not yet ready to accept that. And I feel that because most of the MNCs are accepting that. The reason is that whistleblowing is not a complaint generation mechanism. Many times you will find that we feel we are having good control, but it is not, and it throws away by the whistleblower. I will give example. One of the biggest company in India had to request for the delaying the financial statement because of issue in one branch, and it was surprise actually. So this is one. Second thing, we also know the bank default where the whistleblowing made a major impact, and which first time it was not investigated, second time it was investigated, and we realized the biggest fraud in the industry. So one gap I have found in last few years is that robust whistleblower mechanism, and there is a good room for the system-based whistleblower mechanism which I am proposing. And Miss, I have not only found the gap, I have worked on the gap, and I am happy that I am on the company where my CEO colleague, because I am not IT expert. Let me be frank. Whatever I am talking about IT and technology, my knowledge is only user fee knowledge. I am not getting into the technological aspect. So I have got colleague Mukesh, Mukesh Gadge, where he does on the IT side of it. So this is one gap. Second gap, this is very important gap. Reason is that still people feel that whistleblowing mechanism is a complaint mechanism. It's not complaint mechanism. It gives an early warning signal. And those who want to particularly ensure that they get early warning signal of anything, then whistleblowing has to be robust. And whistleblowing word is wrong. I will say speak up culture. Okay, I call it a speak up culture. In advance, you get the notice. Okay, this is one. Second gap, I found that training we do training, many trainings we do, and we know that trainings can be done on the digital mode, training can be done on the offline mode, but we find that 10 to 20% people are not attentive, and I am not blaming them. I am neither blaming the speaker. The problem is that suppose you are now giving lecture on the science. I will not be interested because science is not my core dominance, and my core structure is the legal and compliance. So how do you, the common gap is that 10-20% people create an issue. So how do you ensure that the training is 100%? So there I have come out with the e-learning module, which again I learned from the MNC. That e-learning module is what? That video runs and your test is taken. Now, when your test is taken, you have to be attentive. And I can tell you that when we introduced first time, many people thought that they know everything, and they attempted an exam and they failed. I'm talking about senior management people. And they said, Atul, don't inform. I said, I will not inform, but you have to attend the video and you have to apply. So this is a reality. Now, in that also there was a feedback. And feedback counts, how feedback counts. So I was happy that I have introduced the e-learning, and I put it on international, particularly parlance. What is international parlance is that you will find that the governance exams have got 80% passing. And 80% passing becomes difficult. It's not that easy. Okay. So we kept that 80% passing ratio with the company, because there was a feedback from the customer that we don't want to be lawyer. We want to be knowing law, but we don't want to be lawyer. So we reduce that 80% passing to 60-70% depending on the organization. Yet few organizations, even I'm working with one large listed company for the e-learning. They said no, we want 80%. Let people see video 3 times, 4 times. And once this news goes up in the company that I somehow to the gossip that I failed, then people become attentive in the training. Attention in the training is very important. The reason is that one compliance officer or one compliance department cannot ensure compliance all across the company, and for that training is required. So that's what I will say. 2 gaps, as I said. One gap is the whistleblowing mechanism, confidential whistleblowing mechanism, which we are actually Whistle Sentinel product which is offering, and second is the, of course, e-learning modules where the turning can be effective.
Nice, sir. Moving ahead, your next question is, can you discuss the importance of customer feedback in identify market gaps?
Customer feedback, I will say, in the legal and compliance, our customers are stakeholders, but major stakeholder is the regulator. And I want to congratulate SEBI particularly, because they are giving they are finding so many defaults that people are becoming aware. So that is I will say feedback. And one of the things every company must know that when the default is discovered, we should check whether our company is complying with that default, or there is a trap or not. I can give, and I want to congratulate, again, I will take the regulator, because that's the main customer, where they can tell you that this something is wrong. The second customer is the NFRA. So I want to congratulate NFRA also. So if you talk about last 3 to 5 years, I will say, when NFRA came in the picture, you will find that so many defaults came across that industry was surprised, to be honest. Even we were surprised, and I am keeping a track of every default. The reason is that if I am on a board, I have to ensure that that default at least will not be repeated in my company. So that's how I feel that customer feedback is very, very important. So regulator has become one important customer in legal and compliance to tell you that yes, there can be default. And I want to congratulate CCI also, finding the particularly complex kind of defaults. So defaults are of two types. One type is that I am doing innocently, and secondly, I am doing complicated way. So I want to work around. So both the defaults actually are taken away by the particular, discovered by the regulators, and industry is now more conscious about the compliances. So I will say that on the customer. And the second, as I said, that user of the systems, I have given an example on the customer feedback of 60%, 80%. That's I already covered. I don't want to discuss. So point I'm making is that for improvement, it is important that customers should tell you that there is a problem, and we should be okay to understand that. We should be okay to accept that. There is an open system where you get the feedback, and not necessary that you get your individual feedback, but we have to keep eye on the industry, so that we can be more smarter and we will not be meeting with that default. So customer feedback, I will say that it gives you improvement, it puts you on the guard, and then you can go for the next level.
Okay. So your next question is, how do you balance the need for innovation with the risk of entering untested markets?
So in the beginning, I said that we have to ensure when there is an innovation, we have to ensure that there is a zero caps. When we were developing the whistleblowing software, we were actually testing it with internally. That is there in loophole. Because there are loopholes in IT system. It's very difficult to keep your identity confidential. So we worked all seriously. So in innovation, innovation is best way to improve. Because if you don't improve on the innovation, the industry may take away your work also, which is happening in the IT industry. So innovation, when I always test it that how much is relevance, and then I can tell you that in AI is taking the majority of the legal and compliance work, where the innovation is fantastic. So after testing that, now untested area, we are going in a small patches. We don't go with the complete area. The reason is that if the risk of violation is more, because we are doing in the legal and compliance domain. If it is operational domain, also we have to be serious. The reason is that customer is a sufferer. So when we go for the innovation, we have to untested area. I like to use it in the patches that I will introduce in the one department, and then I move to the next department like that. So that's how I feel that I look at the innovation. Innovation is required, but in legal and compliance, innovation, we have to use it cautiously. Untested area, yes, we have to see that the innovation technology or whatever that type will meet the requirements of the regulator. So that's what about the innovation.
Sir, the next question is, how do you contribute to the growth and success of HDFC Life?
Actually, okay, your first question on the specific company, but I think I will reply, because I have got reply for that. See, in HDFC Life, we found, actually I was introduced to technology-based compliances, and we were having 600 branches. So there actually we were getting, and that's where the open, or I can say that speak up culture. Now we were having the system-based compliances, and every quarter we were tracking before the board meeting. So there, I was happy that people were telling us directly that we are not compliant. So it is not pride. You can imagine 600 branches and there will be at least 20-30 violations in the, because 600 branches including all the kinds of functions. So it is not only the branch, it is all the functions. So when I am talking 25 defaults every quarter, we were ensuring that the default will not repeated in the other areas. For example, one branch reports the default, because default is common as you go in the business. Reality situation is the default. Now we have to ensure that two things. One is that it is innocent default, and secondly, we should ensure that it will not repeat. So these are the two important perspective of the compliance officer, and we were making that way of life. So it is not that 600 branches will have 600 compliance experts, but we were working on the intra function as well as contra other functional actually we were using for the compliance. So we made the compliance as a part of the business operations, and that's where the success was. So when we are growing, you will not find that there is a default which is not noticed. Okay, and then we were also ensuring that default is handled properly. There is no repetitive default. Repetitive default is another problem. So there are three problems. One problem is innocent. There has to be innocence. Secondly, if it is not innocent, then we have to give sanctions. Because if it is a repetitive or maybe purposeful default, then we have to issue the sanctions. Second is not repeat, and third is the early warning of the default. So that's how I will say that I was contributing to the business, and you know I was in HDFC Life 2010, and they have grown to that today's level at 2025. So I am not taking complete credit because it's a business credit, but at the same time they are in a compliant business is their own strength. I will not say it as I added to that. I only contributed to that. But don't ask a direct question on the company name. You can ask me any question, because I work with the 5-6 good brands, and I don't want to talk directly about the brands. Okay.
So since we are on the topic of your work experience, so how would you describe your roles at all the various companies that you've worked at, and what would be some of the significant lessons that you've learned from your roles at these companies? So
my role was to support businesses through legal and compliance lenses. I first moved from, I'm a company secretary, so I moved from board level compliance to legal. If I talk about 30 years back history. So, and then got into legal. So my contribution to the companies, number one is that I will ensure that there is no legal default, but if there is a legal default, sometimes product goes wrong, sometimes product is used wrongly. So that's how we get into the default. So I ensure that companies' systems are changed, and I ensure the safety of the company senior management, where they will not be faced for the default, because it is not the senior management default. It was an innocent default by the sometimes customer uses wrongly, and then they go for the complaint. Okay, so one of legal and compliance is one part. Second part, I ensure that I become friendly with the people. The reason is that, as I mentioned, particularly we don't get a lot of people in the department. You will hardly find you. I was having the only one company where I had 17 people in the department. Otherwise, it was 5, 6, or 8 people. And controlling all India basis is not easy. So we need a partners. We need ambassadors, I will say. Ambassador term came in my term with the Schindler, ambassadors of the compliance. So we were used to become friendly with the operations, with the marketing guys. So number one is they are not afraid to approach me as a legal aid. Earlier, I have 2 examples in the company where I changed the image of the complete company. In 2 companies, I take the credit. actually. My previous person was not able to change the perception. And the perception of legal aid was to create a hurdle. If you go to legal person, he will say no. So I created my maxim. It is never no go. It is always no and go. So that is my maxim, which I discussed many times in the forum, that how I become friendly with the business. I will never say no. I will say no and go. Okay. So that was the idea in the developing the career, and this openness as well as the creating the comfort in the relationship helped me in understanding their problems, helped me in understanding what is the real life situation on the ground. Because sometimes we sit in the cabin and we are not aware of what is happening on the ground, and then it becomes very difficult to handle the legally also. So that was a contribution. Thanks to all the companies where I got different exposures. I could do the merger and acquisition. I could do the divestment. I could handle the tough accidents also in the industry. And finally, I also worked as a chief code of conduct officer, where I could do the investigation and I could change the systems actually. So that's a fulfilling career with the companies. I ensure that business goes on. Business should not stop, because business only brings the bread and butter, but it should be in a compliant manner. If there are innocent default, we help them to improve and change the things, and we ensure that there is no repeat. And if there are serious defaults, by purposeful default, where we have taken the action. And I'm happy that all the companies where I work, they give me free hand to take the actions when there is a purposeful default. So we are never allowed any person to do purposeful wrong or purposeful mistake where a company will suffer. That's the contribution. So as a legal and compliance, we must be business enabler, not the business hurdles. And then people try to help you, people try to come to you. I have seen many times senior people are coming and meeting me to discuss that this is not doable, I want to do it. So then I was helping them to change the structure of the deal. I was helping them to change. I was helping them to make understand the seriousness of the compliances, because sometimes compliances are very serious. Like I will say, the data privacy. There is a 4% turnover fine, or maybe Competition Act, Antitrust Act, where there is a 10% turnover, 10% fine on the turnover, where your challenges and innovation in the marketing doesn't help. So innovation we talk about, but innovation we have to see that. Now I wish to mention in the innovation that innovation in the digital marketing, where the privacy is compromised, is not particularly important. The reason is that you are exposed to 4% of the turnover, and even Indian law has kept the fine up to 250 crore. So my role in the company was to help business to grow in the legal and compliant manner, make people, if not 100% happy, but happy, so that they are friendly with me. They are not treating the legal department as an enemy. So I will end this answer with not no go, but no and go.
Thanks. Moving ahead, the next question is, how do you assess the potential demand for new product or service? So
actually, I am in legal domain, and we have got 3 areas where the products are required. 3 areas, and they are coming up very well. Number 1 is the research. So in legal and compliance, I will not talk about the general business. I will talk about the specific legal and compliance industry, where there are many changes are happening, and really good changes, I would say. So one is the research. So in the research, help of technology is very good, which is improved. I remember that in one company, we had the default of ex parte order, and from that default, we improved that. Every day, one person will check all the court cases, if there are in the court cases where summons are not received, and we ensure that there will not be single default on the ex parte order, because ex parte is a shame actually. So research is helped by the technology, and really I'm happy about it. Of course, all the technology comes with the disclaimer that we cannot give 100% guarantee, but technology product on the research is doing very well, and considering the updation of the websites and all, but technology helps in solving this issue. I will say 95%. 5% we have to take chance individually. Okay. So this is one part. Second part in the legal, as we know, the drafting. Drafting is a big subject, and so how do we ensure the drafting? So you get a draft, but then we not only get the draft from the technology, but also we get the grammarly help where you can change the grammars and because grammatical mistakes. As you know, there are 2 cases in Supreme Court where if and but really change the order itself. So that helps. So that's the technology. Second part is the drafting of the document and creating the document. So that's a technology. And third part is of course, analysis and the other places where we can reply back. In the research, I will say we have to be careful, as we know there are artificial intelligence usage has caused 2 cases damage to the lawyers, and so it has given the fake. So whenever there is output, we have to ensure that output is right. So that's how the changes are happening in the legal and compliance, and I'm happy about it. The research, draft drafting, and tracking of the legal cases, which is a real-time basis. Compliance tracking is one of the best idea, but I will not give 100% credit to artificial intelligence, because in compliance tracking, last 15 years I am in the field, and particularly with the technology, and technology has done very well in the compliance tracking. But artificial intelligence is adding the flavor to that. So drafting and I will say research, artificial intelligence is helping a great. At the same time, the compliance tracking is improved because of artificial intelligence. So I feel that these are the 3 important areas where the innovation and technology is helping our section to improve better.
So I have a question which is a bit related to the audit domain, and it has been a point of personal curiosity for me.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. I am a lawyer, but I am more having the financial knowledge, good knowledge, financial, I will say.
Yeah, I saw that you have experience as the CS, so I wanted to ask the question anyway. So when it comes to auditing, in cases of fraud, auditors generally tend to be let off the hook when it comes to legal responsibility. Like in cases like the 2G spectrum case or the coal block case, auditors generally tend to avoid legal responsibility. They never sort of get legally charged for any of the cases. Do you think that ever takes away from the credibility of auditing? Because if an auditor cannot be held responsible for his actions, are his actions really credible then?
So I will tell you, just go through the last 3-4 years NFRA cases and you will find that how auditors are facing this. See, I will tell you, I will not blame auditors. I will tell you frankly. When we are talking specifically about the financial frauds. And I am not blaming the auditor. The reason I will tell you, auditors cannot check every... take a simple case. If you are working in a small office of 500 square feet, you know everything. Each and everything, and every person knows each and everything. It's not required auditor also. Okay, but imagine that you have got 10,000 officers all across the world. It's very difficult for the auditor, any auditor, statutory auditor also. I will not blame that statutory auditor also, that to cover in one statutory audit and then timelines of 30 days, 40 days. It's very difficult. Let me tell you, even in digitized world. So auditors are. Now become, I will say, after NFRA, everybody has changed their method of auditing. I am not talking of 5 years back. 5 years back it was different. What you said is right. Today auditors are also on the guard that how do you track. Okay. Second point is the considering legal. I will tell you that auditors are now audit report. If you talk about it, has got the legal cases attachment. So when there is a legal cases attachment, auditors are they are doing good job now. I mean to say improved, because everybody is improving with the situation, with the industry, the incidents, everybody is improving and including that audit practices also. So they are taking the legal opinions. So it was a story what you narrated is 5 years back. Today they are coming out with the legal notices. Okay, legal opinions for that. The other part of that fraud is the again I will go to the ACFE report, Association of Certified Fraud Examiner, and which is published in January every year. You will find that whatever system you put, it is difficult to discover the fraud for 18 months. Minimum time is 18 months. I'm talking of financial fraud. I am not talking of small fraud. Okay, I'm talking of financial fraud because they are done by they are done intelligently. They are done by the 2 or 3 people, and that's where the early warning signal of whistleblower should come. That somebody, a person who is not your team, should tell you that something is wrong. Okay. In early warning signals in the fraud, I will say it is not the duty of only auditors. There are internal gatekeepers, there are external gatekeepers. And that's where the internal gatekeeper has got bigger responsibility. Internal gatekeepers include CFO, company secretary, even managing director. They have to be alert, head of the departments. For example, you will find that we never had the issue where the HR department, there are frauds. Satyam, majority part was HR department fraud. Okay, where the number of employees were inflated. So we have never come. So it is not duty of only finance guy to check that whether the fraud is happening. It is a duty also of every functional head, I will say. I am not talking of general normal managers, but I am talking of functional head, what is going on in the function. Wherever there is an intersection, we have to check that, am I doing right? So talking about the fraud, because it's an interesting subject again for me, that you will find slight miss on the control, slight miss of control by the functional department can lead to fraud. And if there are 2 or 3 persons are involved, then it is very difficult to trace it out for maybe 18 months or something like that. I can talk about the fraud. I will give example. Even I am talking about the public discuss for Satyam. MD gave a letter, but it was going on for 5-6 years. It was not one night. It is not that yesterday night I have done some accident and I am informing you I have done accident. It's not. So it was done intelligently, and that's one of that. We can talk about the recent again that case is under this is current year case and which is under I will be subjudice, so I don't want to comment. But I am talking about the e-vehicle fraud, which is discovered by the SEBI. So in fraud, it is not only duty of the auditor or this. All internal gatekeeper as well as external gatekeeper are responsible to keep watch on it. So if I start for the fraud will take away complete all the 20 minutes. Otherwise, you can take any kind of particularly issue and you will find that everybody is responsible. Let's take last one minute I will spend on the Taurus jewelry. People are going for the 40% interest, investing for the 40% interest. Can you claim that I am defrauded? That's my question. Everybody said that it is fraud. I said it is not fraud. I have gone to casino and I am robbed. So can I complain I am robbed because casino is a fraud? Answer is no. When you go for the 40% of rate of interest with your money, you are going in a casino. You are not going to financial institution where the people can be not then what regulator is doing and all. What regulator can do if you go there and ask for the 40% interest? Okay, so we stop here and then we go to the next question.
So your next question is, how did you handle compliance issues?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat?
How did you handle compliance issues?
Okay, we have to handle compliance issue in a I will say friendly manner, and that's where the training in the SDFC life. See, if somebody is defaulting, let's not get angry with him or her. The reason is that we have to go with a root cause analysis. Root cause analysis says that ask 5 times why. Don't ask why it has happened. You ask why question 5 times to go to the root of the cause. And then can we particularly improve that root cause of the violation. This helped me a lot. The reason is that people are coming after default also people have come and told me that particularly I have defaulted. The reason is that they got the comfort. That it is not, we have to blame the process. if you blame the person at first stage we have to blame the process. We are not to blame the person. Personal blame comes when we particularly investigate the process and the person is at default. For example, is negligent total. You are seeing negligent total. Then they are at default. But first you have to check the process. Most important in the handling the non-compliances is that we should not repeat the same non-compliance for at least 3 years. I am not saying that after 3 years it is allowed, but I am saying that we have to ensure as a compliance officer that it's a foolishness if you do second time same fault. Okay, so that's how. And this friendly handling of the fault. I am not saying that compromise organizations rules lenient, but we have to get what has happened wrong. We have to be friendly and we have to ensure that they are given a proper hearing. So it's not that somebody comes with the fault and then we always actually will find that whenever there is a default, we ensure that person, head of the department, is gone. But sometimes it's not responsible at all. Okay, so we have to get to the root actually why default has happened, and then we can handle compliance better. And once this story goes in the company, that Atul has handled well in the compliance very well, this as a human approach, I will say human approach. Then other people are not afraid to tell you that something has gone wrong, something will go wrong. Sometimes I will tell you that some processes, the company, some area, they bypass every time. Bypassing of process is also compliance default. It is not only the legal default. I am talking of internal. How MNC works in the 100 countries. Their process default is taken as a compliance default. Forget about the regulation is must. But I am talking about the processes which are put in the company. If they are bypassed, it is taken as the code of conduct or business practice default. So it is not external, it is internal, and they take it very seriously. I have seen 2 or 3 general managers losing the job because of not following the process. Okay, bypassing the process. So people come to you that this process is cumbersome and we need a shortcuts. That time we have to improvise the process. We don't cancel the process. We improvise the process and we go to the group company, that's saying that this process needs an improvement because it is taking a long time than the actual work. Okay, so that's how the compliance default can be handled.
So just one final question for you. What advice would you give to young professionals who would be looking to join a field similar to yours?
So they should be taking care of the continuous learning. And I'm not saying that day-to-day learning. I'm telling you, this is a Harvard theory. If I put a Harvard word, people will be serious. So it's a Harvard theory that every degree has got shelf life. And it was when it was theory was best. It was best that every degree will have 5 years shelf life. But in current technology changes, digital particularly revolution, the shelf life has become 2 years. So you have got degree today, needs a renewal, and that's where the continuous learning is required. And continuous learning does not mean that I only look at the digital courses and all. We have to meet the people. We have to meet the industry so that we understand what is going on in the industry actually. So that there is no only one-sided, but we get 360-degree approach to the learning. So learn, unlearn, and relearn is one of the important area where, of course, people say that after graduation you don't study, you need to study, but everybody is student whole life. So legal and compliance, we are students over whole life. Yes, not necessarily day-to-day we should learn. And second is creating a genuine network. What is genuine network? I will tell you, I changed 6-7 times in 40 years. But still, I can reach out to my team and boss of my first company. That is the genuineness of the relationship. Why this is required? The reason is that, frankly speaking, no one person, even if it's helped by the AI, can know everything what is happening in the world. So we need a good network connection of genuine friends, where somebody will tell you that Atul, this you have to check. So morning when I'm really fortunate, I'm blessed with the good network from genuine friends where I get the particular insight that there is something wrong, and then I can get into that. Because nobody can read all the papers. Nobody can read all the changes happening in the world, because it's very difficult. It's not easy. You need a good network, cultivated network of your own friends. This is the second thing. And third thing is of course, health and having the work-life balance, because that helps you to go on. The third is important because Stephen Covey said it is not production. You have to take care of production capacity. Because it is not that today you are given a production of 24 hours or 36 hours of working, but we want 18 hours working for all 80 years. That's where the third part is the take care of the production capacity. And majority times we are not careful about health, we are not careful about the work-life. Because if you take care of work-life balance, innovative ideas will come to your mind. You will, and that ideas are not daily. I can tell you that ideas are not daily. The ideas come maybe 2 or 3 in a year, which helps you to grow further. And last, if I have to say, be ambitious. There is a world for you. Never be satisfied with one success. Always go for the next. Success is not the destination. Success is a journey. And create more and more successes so that destination become longer and longer, and people will follow you.
So to conclude, we're so grateful to have you today as a guest at Conversation with Consultants. Your presence, your engagement, it has truly helped to make it a success. And we're so grateful for you taking out the time, not just to share your experience with us, but also indulging some of our side questions. So thank you so much for attending and sharing your insights with us.
So I will say thank you, SK Associate, for giving the opportunity to share my ideas and views. Thank you, Rima, and thank you, Aditi, for joining and asking me questions. And
Thank you,
really, it's a really wonderful discussion.
Thank you, sir. Further, we could also like to thank our audience for listening patiently throughout the event. Thank you, everyone, for joining with us today, and hope that everyone gained some knowledge from this event. Looking ahead, we are excited to announce that our next episode, 70, Conversation with Consultants, will be held next weekend. We hope to see you all there. Thank you again. We look forward to reconnecting with you next week. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us all social media handles to stay connected with us. Goodbye and have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Have a great day, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.